none of us have ever seen before. And I'm grateful tonight on the first CAYA of 2023 to have as our special guest Kier Gaines. Thank you, man. Come on. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
That was a tremendous introduction. What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Come on, y'all do a little bit better than that. He said, how y'all feeling? Before I start, if this is your first time in CAYA, raise your hand right now, please, wherever you are. First time in CAYA. Come on, put your hands together, all these new people. That's amazing. Thank you all so much for coming and sharing with us. Listen, CAYA is every first Wednesday of the month. So if you have something to do, cancel it and come here anyway, all right? So thank you. So yeah, man, again, Kier Gaines is here with us, and I'm thankful to have him here. So, man, what's going on? How you feeling?
I feel tremendous. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all of these faces, and I was just telling you upstairs, my grandmother, South Carolina, Southern Baptist. I mean, you chew gum in church, you know exactly where you're gonna go. It was like that type of energy, and to come here and to see a young man with locks and a gold chain that looks like mine and his Memphis Southern accent, and then all of y'all are dressed like me and you look like me and they feel like me, I just feel truly honored to be here, because they used to say you can't have Jesus and a therapist at the same time. Guess they were wrong, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man, I mean, a lot of us know you from social media, but tell us a little bit about your upbringing and where you come from and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So for y'all that don't know me, my name is Kier Gaines. I am, as he said, a husband. I'm a father. I am a digital content creator, which means I'm an influencer. You know, that's a dirty word. I'm also a business owner. I'm a community leader. I'm a public speaker. I'm a lot of things, so that means I'm very tired all the time. In addition to that, I'm born and raised in D.C. I'm from Southeast. Yeah. Listen, being in Old Town Alexandria is a luxury when you're from Southeast. I feel like I can't step on the ground here. Just my entire life has been full of experiences that I didn't love, experiences that I believe were built to tear me down, to separate me from my heart, to separate me from my mind. And somehow, miraculously, I pulled it all together in my mid-20s, and I ended up in a spot where I love the person that I am. I forgive the person that I was. I'm excited about the person that I'm becoming. And I'm really leaning, oh, he had a little, was that for me? I felt the drum joint, was that for me? Oh, it was an accident, it was just really well timed. And I really feel like I'm moving in a direction that's purposeful, and there's no greater joy in life than moving in a purpose that you feel like is yours. I know you know that.
Yeah, I know something like that, you know? Something like that. So, I mean, tell us now, one of your lines, especially that you say on Instagram all the time, is that your favorite male therapist.
Yeah.
How did you even get into therapy in the first place? Like, what was that route? How did that work?
It was confusing. I'm 36 right now, and the first time I ever saw a therapist, I was 29. And it's because me and my girlfriend at the time were having a great time. We had such a good time that we decided to accidentally make a baby.
Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, it happens. And I don't know if y'all know, but that's kind of how the cake is made. And I hear people all the time, especially young couples, because this is CAYA, so we're going to talk off the script a little bit, right? Yeah. Cool. Young couples always come in, and a lot of times they're under the impression that a baby will save their relationship or keep it together or make something new and exciting. And I always say that have a baby is like taking a relationship and trying to love on expert mode. It complicates every facet of it. And I had a lot of stuff from growing up in the projects. I had a lot of stuff from not having my dad in my life. And I didn't want to bleed on this baby, and she did not cut me. And I needed help figuring my stuff out. Some of my wounds are topical, but some of them are deep. So I needed to sit in front of somebody, and I booked a session, and it was not transformative. She wasn't that great of a therapist. She really wasn't. But I stuck with her. And I felt at the time like she didn't do much until that baby was born, and I could start to use some of those tools she gave me to build my relationship with my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, to build my relationship with this new baby, and to make amends with all this stuff that happened in my life that put my mind and my heart in a place where I couldn't receive love and joy, not the way I wanted to. So that urged me to go to therapy, and it's been the best, top 5 decisions I ever made in my life.
Going to therapy. How old were you at this time? Like around what age?
We had boo when I was, 30? So about 29, yeah.
Okay. And that's the reason I asked that is interesting because my first time ever going to therapy, I was 29 years old.
Stop playing.
I promise. 29 years old, struggling with depression, and I said, I need to go see somebody. Because I said, this weight won't leave. I couldn't work it out. I couldn't work out it enough. It wouldn't go away. I couldn't go to the bar enough. Nothing would happen. It wouldn't leave. And I said, I need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And I discovered that was one of the first times in my life that I discovered that actually talking is really a strength. Because I've grown up in such a way that you don't say nothing. As a boy, you toughen up, right? Be a man, which means you don't say anything. But then I was like, oh no, if I keep being a man, I'm gonna break. And so that was my first introduction to therapy. By show of hands, how many of you all, if you ever have experience of being a part of therapy around, y'all just raise your hand, I ain't saying that.
Look, mine was about to go up before y'all.
If you were after post 25, raise your hand. Post 25. Yeah, that's after 25. After 25. Before 25, lift your hands.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot of hands.
Okay, come on, put your hands together. I told Kier upstairs, I said, man, going into every new year, I think all of us start off the new year with so much optimism, so much energy, so much excitement. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But let's be honest, what happens? We have all these New Year's resolutions. Some of us gonna lose weight and we're gonna make this amount of money and et cetera, et cetera. By February, that excitement starts to wane a little bit. You done missed about 5 gym days, and then, everything starts to wane. And so, especially from his practice of being a therapist, I said, man, what can we do to guard and protect that excitement and optimism? Because what happens is we begin with so much optimism, and then it seems like life attacks that optimism.
No doubt.
And so what can we do to essentially guard and protect that optimism that so many times just seems to dwindle out as life just begins to happen?
Now, you're making an excellent point. I think there's a few things. I got a lot of thoughts in my mind, so bear with me while I try to squeeze them all out. The thing that pops in my mind first is to not rely on happiness, motivation, and optimism in order to make strides toward being a better you. They're unreliable. Your brain is not designed to be happy all the time. It's not. It's just not the way the brain works. If you relied on being motivated in order to make strides toward being the you that you desire to be, you're gonna be waiting for a very long time, or you're only gonna be doing it in spurts. One of the things I tell myself since we're talking about affirmations is I don't wanna do it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. There's a book I read, it's called, what is it? I think it's The Biggest Leap with Gay Hendricks, or it may be another book with James Clear. Can't remember the name of it, but it's all about atomic habits, and they talked about systems. And he says that everything you do is going to be on systems. The systems you create are going to work to your success. You don't rise to the level of your successes, you fall to the level of your systems. So if your system is to be reliant upon joy and happiness and motivation, that's not reliable. It's not reliable. I think, and the final thing that I could think to kind of keep that motivation up through the year is all about expectations. Life is built around expectations. If you think that it's going to look this way, and then it's delivered to you and it looks this way, well, there's a chance you'll be like, I don't want this. This ain't what I asked for. It stops you from reframing like, this ain't what I asked for. I don't want this, but I think that this can work for me for my long-term gain. It's about putting your expectations in a place where you're open to whatever the situation or whatever the outcome looks like, if it's favorable toward you. And not taking failure as an indictment on your character or an indictment on your capabilities. Nah, failure is an inevitability. It's about what you're going to do with that failure. How far you allow it to sink you into the quicksand of being inactive. It's about doing something. It's not always an explosion when it's like, boom, yeah, everything different. I'm changed, I'm reformed. This is exactly what I thought it would be. Nah, change is a little scoop sometimes. It ain't a big leap, just a little scoop, scoop. And if you undermine the scoop, scoop, you would have changed and you'll never see it that way. So it's just about opening your mind up and opening yourself up to all the different ways that change and progress and betterment can look.
So I guess in adjusting our expectations, how essentially do we aim for better, aim for the best, and then also level off our expectations at the same time? It seems to be at times a bit of a tension that I'm like, oh, I'm going for the best, and I'm trying to achieve these lofty, high, to some degree, excessive goals. But then at the same time, I got to level off those expectations. Because so many times I think when our expectations aren't met, whether that be relationships especially, we fall and then we're bitter and upset and mad for the rest of the year. And it happened in February, and so
February specifically?
Yeah, if you think you're lonely now, So, and I think, but as I want to pivot also, again, I got turned onto your content through your affirmations. That's one of the things that I first heard when I first started hearing your name. And I want to share, you usually do one every month, right?
Every month,
And
yep.
every month. And speak to us about the importance of the words that we say to yourself. I've heard you talk about it, and I think it'd be important to share here about speaking at length about how it is important about the words that we say to ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. Our world is filled with voices. We have the voice of larger society. We have the voices of the individual communities that we may be a part of. Some of us are a part of the LGBTQ plus community. Almost all of us are a part of the Black community. Some of us are women. Some of us are non-binary. Some of us are Washington Commanders fans. God bless us. Last time buying season tickets for me. But we're a part of these different communities that kind of tell us what to be and how to be. And they talk to us differently, but the most important motivating voice is going to be the one in your head. And affirmation just means emotional support. That's it. That's all it means to affirm someone, is to back them up emotionally. If you go to work and your coworker says something to make you feel low, no matter how much the internet tells you, don't let anybody ruin your day, you can't help but to feel low if you feel low. That's just where you are in the moment. But just like that person said things that can make you feel low, your brain can say things that can make you feel low. And sometimes the mind is speaking. I always tell my clients, that voice is in your head that says that you can't do it. What does that voice sound like? Does it sound like a mother reprimanding a child? Does it sound like a preacher giving encouragement to a parishioner? Does it sound like a teacher being either too stern with a small student or too lenient with an older student? What does that voice sound like? We have to tell ourselves things to remind us of who we are, to remind us of what we're trying to do. Because again, motivation and happiness, they're not always going to be there. Life is great when it's great. Life is great when it's great. What you going to do when it ain't? So I like that. We call it negotiating from the brink. Like pretend you just on like a cliff and you on the edge of that joint. Like just the tips of your feet are actually on the ground and your heels, what they call the back of your foot? The balls of your feet? I don't know. The part that's under, the ashy part under your ankle. I don't know what it's called. But that's hanging off the cliff. Negotiating from the brink is saying like, the worst of it is right at my back. I know this is how bad it could get, this cliff. How am I going to progressively move forward? And you got to talk to yourself nice. And the affirmations help me do that.
So one of my favorite ones from 2022 was one you said in March. It was a quote you gave from Alex L. You said, "You can grieve the ending of something and also be grateful it's over."
Absolutely. Yeah, shout out to Alex L. She's brilliant.
So, just say more about and speak more to that.
Yeah, so life is full of conflicting principles. I try to impart on my clients the idea that most things in life aren't going to be black and white. They're not either or, they're both and. I know y'all probably heard that before. Our brains have this dichotomous thinking where sometimes it's one side or the other. And we think that because we receive this amazing blessing, this thing that we've always wanted, this is the blessing that I've dreamed for. We believe that we can't be critical of this thing, or we can't appreciate, or we can't be upset or frustrated by the amount of work it takes to keep this thing. Anybody with a high-paying job know that it's a blessing but a headache. Anybody with a marriage know that it's a blessing but a headache. Anybody with kids, I don't have to finish that, right? It's the idea, it's the point of that affirmation is to break you out of the idea that just because I have this thing, I can't be frustrated by it, and just because I love this thing, I can't let it go. Think about a bad or abusive relationship. There's still love somewhere in that relationship. But just because that love is there, that doesn't mean you have to tolerate all the things that are opposite of love. We don't automatically think that all the time. So sometimes we need to have words and mechanisms to remind ourselves of those things when we're at our lowest.
So that was one I wanted you to speak to. The second one, and probably my favorite, because I think it's almost contradicting to some point, but it makes sense at the same time. It says, "My mind is the source of all my joy, but my mind is the source of all my sorrows." It's the same mind, but it's the source of both my joy and my sorrows. And I think it's important because, especially with social media. Now, I love social media and I think it is a very powerful tool, but at the same time, you and I both know that the more and more we consume it, we unconsciously begin to compare ourselves to these individuals and lives that we are witnessing on our particular timelines.
Absolutely.
And one thing for me, especially going forward, one thing I said I'm gonna stop doing going forward into the new year is that I hate whenever we qualify our wins sometimes. So like you do something and you graduate from school, and then you have to, a lot of us always gotta give our rags to riches story on our posts with our graduation hat, telling us you came from the bottom and, nobody said you were ever gonna be nothing, and,
What, shoot with me in the gym?
God bless you, but we don't care. We don't care. And we're appreciative of your accomplishments, but that's one thing, right? The qualifying of our wins, but then also giving excuses for my losses. Yeah. When you lose, it's a loss. And whatever I gotta do to make sure I don't experience that loss again, then I do it. But my win, or if it's a win, hey man, I'm grateful for this win. I'm grateful for this accomplishment, for whatever it is. But I'm not about to do too much qualification. But then also for those losses, I'm not going to. I'm not going to also give excuses for those losses. And because essentially what I think when I look at somebody's page, right, or look at a friend of mine's page, oh, I'm 30 and maybe they're 29 and they bought X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, wait, man, I'm a year older than them, and I didn't get that.
I'm supposed to be here
I'm supposed to be here by now, by that internal timeline that I've built up, expecting that I'm supposed to be here and there by a certain place. So I guess I want to hear you kind of sort of speak to that reality about that that mind, our minds being the place of both our highest joy, but then also our deepest sorrows as well.
Yeah, that goes back to expectations. I used to think that happiness was this thing, like pretend I got a bucket in my arms, right? I used to think that happiness was this thing that I had to go outside and look under a rock and flip open the board. Okay, there's one piece, put it in a bucket, maybe go down the street, look inside the building, look up under the desk. Oh, there's another piece, and I had to collect all these Dragon Balls. And maybe at the end of it, I'll have happiness. And then, I'm gonna keep it probably a little too real with y'all. Then I have a viral video that explodes all over the world. I go from 10,000 followers on Instagram to something crazy like 180. Now we got 380 on Instagram. I start getting calls from Hollywood, major directors. Hey, I get managed by the biggest company in the world that manages social media talent. I quit my job. One of my former coworkers is looking at me right here. I made $100,000 at that job a year. It was amazing. I quit that job and I made my salary back. I quit in January. I made the salary back maybe by April. Yeah, social media.
Put your hands together for that. Come on now.
It was tremendous. And the unhappiest I've ever been in my life. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Happiness ain't stuff that I gotta go out in the world and collect. It's already here. I have to open my mind and open myself up to see it. Happiness ain't the car that I drive, don't get me wrong. It makes me really happy. I'll cry in a BMW all day, bro, I ain't gonna hold you. But my daughter reading words off of a page and watching her become a person, that makes me happy. My wife like, hey, you were working hard last week, I appreciate you. That makes me happy. When I create something that I'm proud of, even if only 10 people watch it, so what? That makes me happy. Happiness already exists. And going back to the affirmation, my mind is the source of all of my joy. My mind is the source of all of my sorrow. The therapy that I provide is called cognitive behavioral therapy, and CBT for short. Y'all know about CBT, some people in here? And what CBT does is, the goal of CBT is to break up these things we have called cognitive distortions. I'll give you an example. Because all of y'all are kind of quiet right now, a lot of people aren't smiling, my brain can tell me that y'all are bored by what I'm saying. I'm not interested enough, I'm not talking enough, maybe I'm not doing my thing. That's called mind reading. I have no confirmation that any of you all think that. You black, right? You walk in a room full of white people and they don't greet you the way you thought. You're like, oh, everybody racist. They think I'm stupid. That's called mind reading. My job as a therapist is to help you see that that's a cognitive distortion. That's flawed thinking of your brain. My mind is the source of all of my joy. My mind is the source of all of my sorrow. You control that. It's just a matter of being in a place to unlock it and being able to read the language that is written in.
And that goes back to something you said in February. You said faith and fear both demand you believe in something that you cannot see.
Choose one.
But you have to choose.
Right. Yeah, it's the
I'm
same
gonna say that
mechanism.
one more time because I heard somebody. Let me say that. Go ahead. Faith and fear both demand you to believe in something you cannot see, but you have to choose.
Yeah. To be clear, those aren't my words. I think that's by Bob Proctor.
It's Bob Proctor.
Yeah, it's Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor.
He's a brilliant mind. Yeah, it's the same mechanism. It's the same mechanism. At some point, it's beneficial if you realize that you may not be able to ever fully control your fear. You may not ever be able to fully control your faith. But if you can submit to the fact that you're human and that you're flawed and that you are a walking contradiction at every turn of the corner, and if you can find a way to make peace with that, and instead of meeting that part of you with anger or hostility or shame or remorse or regret, you greet it with curiosity. I wonder why I'm that way. I wonder why I think these things. When's the first time I ever thought this? How many people in my family are like this? I wonder what influenced this. Is it because I'm the youngest child? Did I get enough attention growing up? Am I really as close to my family as I think? You can start unraveling that ball of yarn that way when you start to question the way that you feel versus persecuting yourself for the way that you feel. It's a different thing, and it takes practice. Nobody's gonna walk in the Washington Sports Club or Gold's Gym tomorrow straight off the street in a pair of jeans and start deadlifting 400 pounds. It don't work that way. You gotta warm up, and your body has to get used to that heavy weight. So you start with 50 pounds, and maybe in a month it could be 80. Maybe in 2 it can be 100. You work yourself up that way. Everything you do emotionally, if you see it as a muscle, you have to strengthen that muscle in order to be strong at that act. And to strengthen the muscle, sometimes that means lifting a weight and trying to do a curl and realizing you ain't strong enough yet. And not allowing that to defeat you, but instead allowing that to encourage you to come back and try just a little bit more weight, or maybe 2 more reps. It's not gonna be automatic. It's not gonna be fun. Growth ain't always fun. Growth almost ain't never fun. But it's worth it in the long run. If you stick with it, you'll be so proud of yourself that you did.
So these are past affirmations for 2022.
Yeah.
Can you give us some affirmations as we're going forward into 2023? We talked a little bit about it upstairs, and I said I want you to share maybe 1 or 2, however many you decide, some affirmations as we're going forward into this new year.
That's cool. I can definitely do that. So I'll be transparent with you all. Before a year and a half ago, I didn't believe in affirmations. I thought they were just words that people told themselves to feel better about the things that they're not ready to do anything about yet. Until I started doing these affirmations on Instagram and having really tough weeks and flipping to that page in a book where I wrote it down, I was like, oh, wait, that's actually very helpful. And affirmations have become a part of my life. So this is a book called Soul Affirmation. It's from my friend Kariga Bailey and his wife, Dr. Felicia Gangloff Bailey. Just a bit about his story. He's an artist, and he's from Washington, D.C. His brother was murdered maybe about a decade ago, maybe less, gun violence. And he dedicates his life now in California to creating healing circles for mothers whose children are victims of gun violence, and also for the individuals who perpetrated the crime, because those moms and dads and families need healing too. So it's a book called Soul Affirmations. I use this because he's the most spiritual man I ever met. The man is Langston Hughes of saying a prayer. It's ridiculous. He gotta be God's favorite. So I got 2 affirmations that I think that I've been working on, and I've been reading them over, and they resonated with me. The first one's actually the first one in the book. It says, I have love, and I can still feel love, even in the midst of my sadness. I'm grateful that these can coexist. So he's talking about receiving love even in the midst of his sadness. This is a man who lost his very young child. You know, I don't think the baby was 1 year yet, Kamali, when they lost her. And he's talking about receiving love in the midst of his sadness and still opening himself up to the idea of love and being love, which right now, while I'm sitting here in front of all of y'all beautiful faces, is a very easy thing to say out of my mouth. But in the midst of grief, when your faith is tested and your endurance is tested, this is a hard thing to remember. So I'm doing a little preemptive work. That's one of the affirmations that I really love. The second, it's kind of long, but it plays on to something I said earlier. It says, my life is different from what I imagined, hoped for, or dreamed, but my experience is unique to me. I am making room to allow that to be. I'm taking time to learn more about what that means. I love his affirmations because a lot of affirmations are super actionable. I'm gonna go out here and change the world. You know, I'm gonna take the world by storm, grab the bull by the horns. Jesus not taking the wheel, I am. You know, all of these things. And his affirmation isn't really about greeting the world like Captain Planet. His affirmations are about making space on the inside for the world that already exists for you. I think that's so smart. And I think that if a lot of us can take a page out of his book, literally and figuratively, and use our affirmations to remind ourselves that we are capable of our own healing. We still need community. We still need spirituality. We still need leadership. We still need camaraderie. but we are responsible. We are the pilots of our own healing. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity.
That's a horrible decision.
Best decision ever. And we have a poem that we always recite called Invictus, and at the end of the poem, you know, this is a man who was on his deathbed. He says, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And it's all about taking charge of what is uniquely yours on the inside. Don't be upset with that. The spirit hit him right. Don't. Whoever finished that for me, thank you. I'm right there with you.
Oh, this is an alpha. All the alphas. Got any alphas in the house? Yeah, we here. So yeah, man, we thank you so much. One more thing I want you to speak to, because I personally love it as looking at it from the outside. And then we're gonna have some questions. If any of y'all have some questions, we'll have a question and answer small session. Yeah, don't y'all be talking all day now. But I want you to speak to, because how old are you?
I'm 36. I'll be 37 in March.
Oh, March what?
15th.
I'm March 9th, man. You
Stop
might
playing.
Be, I promise.
With water babies.
You might be all right. I'm just playing. But the relationship that you have with your wife, 36-year-old black male that is in love with his wife, speak to that.
I mean, you're talking about a man who is not the biggest believer in romantic love or the way people conceptualize love. My wife is a very unique person. I think that the thing I'm most appreciative of when it comes to her is when I was 18, I lost my mom a couple of weeks after I graduated from high school. And there's no dad, there's no family who took me in. I was just on my own. And, you know, when you lose someone very close to you, it can make you reluctant to love again. And it can make you reluctant to open yourself up to being loved again, because you know what a big loss feels like. And once you receive a big loss, you can no longer fool yourself into believing that that can't happen to me. Your mind can actually become obsessed with the idea that it can happen to you again and again and again. So why would you let someone that close to you when you know that you can be hurt again? But to watch this woman grow, to watch this woman be happier for me during my accomplishments more so than I am for myself, to watch her go from someone that I love to someone that I love and look up to. You don't hear many men saying that. I respect my wife so much. She's an amazing person. Watching her be a mother, watching her be more than a mother, it's just watching her be a person has helped me in my journey. I don't know if I went to therapy if it wasn't for her indirectly. I don't know if I'm sitting in front of y'all if it wasn't for her. The love is reciprocal. It's bigger than just topical. I love you, baby. I love you too. Matching Jordans, kissing under the waterfall, Black Love hashtag. It's a very deep love where even in our lowest moments, I could be like, man, I'm beefing with you right now. I don't like the way you're talking to me. I'm not 100% cool with the way you treat me. But you hungry?
That's real love.
You know, because it's about taking care of a person beyond how you feel about them in that moment. Not only because they're worthy of that love and because they've shown you and they've proven time and time again that they're worthy of that love, but because they give you that love back and they don't ask for anything. And that's what my wife has been. So she's a very easy person to love and stick by. I don't have to do a ton of work. I'm just very grateful that our paths crossed in a point of my life where I did not jack that money. Because had she met me 2 years prior, I would have completely fumbled that. I was not in that place in my life, you know? So yeah, she's amazing. Noemi, I know you watching this on YouTube. Love you, boo. Yeah, it's great to find love like that and allow myself to feel it.
Put your hands together for Kier, man. So, anyone have questions? Want to say something?
The Q&As are always really shy for the first person. Once the first one goes,
who's the first person that's gonna break? Right here. Where my mic? I got one mic right here, and I got a mic over here. If you raise your hand, just walk to the mic.
Your team that's doing the mics and the chairs and stuff.
Hey,
These
shout
people
out to
are
the AV
amazing,
team. Come on, man. AV is amazing.
The
Alfred
cameraman
Street.
over there, they are on it, man. I love it.
Alfred Street AV team. You can't get these people everywhere. Come on now.
Okay, so quick question. What advice do you have for a young Black person in grad school trying to become a therapist at, a predominantly white university? I don't know what school you went to, but any advice?
To feel comfortable sleeping at night with all those windows. I remember being in the garage, being in my parking, I don't even know what you call it, your driveway. I was in my driveway with my cousin, and the cars was going by, and I was looking at every car. He was like, hey, bro, you ain't gotta do that no more. My brain does not know that. My brain don't know that. I struggle with safety. So what I've been doing lately is reminding myself of a few things. One, I tell myself that I'm safe. You're safe. You're safe. I do an immediate body scan. What's the immediate threat? Not what I feel like is a threat, not what I believe is a threat. What's the threat in front of me right now? Nothing. What am I reacting to? Nothing. All right, take some deep breaths. And I also got to keep in mind that for 22 years of my life, I lived in that chaos. Because I live a serene life now, what is that supposed to change? I don't know how much a train weighs. Let's just say that joint like 32 tons. If a 32-ton train is just barreling down the tracks, and it's going full speed, and that conductor says, oh, we need to stop, and he hits the brakes, skirt! That train ain't about to stop in 10 feet. That train ain't gonna stop in 100 feet. That train is likely to stop in 4 or 5 miles. You have a lot of momentum with all the stuff you've seen, maybe some stuff you did, maybe some stuff you witnessed. You gotta be a little kinder to yourself and know that your train ain't gonna stop immediately just because you hit the brakes. There's gonna be regressions where even though you're safe, you don't feel safe, where you may react to things that aren't actually in front of you. I guess the final point is being hyper vigilant of threats doesn't always keep you safer, it just makes you paranoid. So what I do is, instead of being fearful that someone's gonna run in my house and kill my children, I just decide to go in at night, sometimes snuggle with them for a little bit and be in that moment. I'm where my feet are. I'm not obsessed with the past. I'm not really super concerned with the future. I'm where my feet are. I'm right here in my house with locked doors. I'm okay. And I have to keep reminding myself that. There's no magic button. I know you probably thought I was gonna give you the quick fix Instagram magic. There's no magic button.
No, that was
bro.
good though.
There's no magic button, but just keep reminding yourself that and do things that make you feel safe and that remind you that you're safe.
Right. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, brother. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable with that.
You got one right here.
Hi, I had a question, or I guess would like some advice on like, how do you deal with just like that anxiety of like figuring out what's really your problem or what's really in front of you at the moment versus what you're kind of overthinking or like creating in your mind, and just kind of breaking up like, you know, what's real and what's not when you're used to like thinking about things like over and over again, like literally just sitting there thinking about how I was gonna ask this question. I probably thought about like 10 times before I got up here. So just like, how do you deal with that, I guess, reality versus like your perception, and how do you play affirmations into that?
I try to remember that my thoughts are my own. They don't belong to anybody else but me. And I try to, a practice I've been using lately is to try to separate what's interesting from what's important. Try to separate what's inconvenient from what's catastrophic. Sometimes it feels the same way. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, we're buying a new house, and the lender that we had, the preferred lender for our house, he dropped the ball. We almost lost our house because he was doing illegal stuff. Yeah. Allegedly. But he did something real shady, and the terms of that loan ain't something that we can get down with. And I was disappointed, I was hurt, and I was reacting like it was catastrophic. But in all actuality, it's just insanely inconvenient. If everything is urgent, then nothing is urgent. There has to be a priority where something is really urgent and other things just feel urgent, but they may not be. Again, it goes back to asking yourself, what is really happening to me right now? Because remember, you color all of your experiences through the filter of, you color all of your interactions through the filter of your lived experiences. It may not, we're not having the same conversation right now. All of us right now ain't even having the same experience. We're not all in the same place mentally. And that's okay, but it's about taking ownership of where yours is and being okay with the idea that the things that I think, the things that I deeply believe may actually be wrong. And that is okay. I'm not what I think. My thoughts are a part of me, but I'm not my thoughts. My feelings are a part of me, but I'm not my feelings. It's being able to separate the thing that you are from the things that contribute to what you are, if that makes any sense at all.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for that question. Oh, that was a real question, man. Y'all hear the stuff I still struggle with. Hello.
Hi. Ooh, okay. So I have kind of a two-part question. The first part is, what advice would you give folks who may have therapy hurt, meaning they've gone to therapy, but it wasn't what they thought it was going to be, or the therapist wasn't who they needed, and so they're now reluctant to try again? And second part, in that journey, what are some tips you may give to folks who are seeking assistance and what to look for?
Great questions. I'll answer them in order. I think it's a short answer. Excuse me. The first one's about therapy hurt. Everyone in here has a job, I would assume, or has had a job in the past, right? No matter where you work, we can all say that there's somebody at our job, God bless them, but we don't know how they got that job. It's like, bro, you still here? After all that you've done? Shocking. Do not pedestalize therapists. It's just a job. It's just a job, it's just a training, it's just an education. That's it. We do a really highly regarded work, but it's just a job. And there are therapists who are not good at their jobs. In addition to that, just like dating, just like trying to find a doctor, just like trying to find a home church, every energy ain't going to be the right energy for you. It doesn't mean that this practitioner is bad. It just means that y'all don't align. And that's okay. Some of us have this idea that we're supposed to just smack it out of the park the first time. Like the first date I go on, it's going to be my forever person. Zero facts. My first therapy session is going to be transformative. May not be. So how to go on looking is the one, not let that discourage you no matter how hard it is. It's going to be hard. If you need to take a month, take a month. You need to take two, take two. You need to take three. Don't take forever. And try to re-engage with a therapist. There is no good way of knowing whether the therapist is good for you or not. There's no good way. But my golden rule is to give them, it depends. If it feels like it's not going anywhere, give them 2 months or 8 sessions. And if you feel like it's not going anywhere in session number 4, have a conversation. You're in a relationship with that therapist. If you're in a relationship with somebody that's not going right, y'all gonna have a talk over lunch. Hey, I feel like I'm not getting the most out of this experience. Can we talk about where I am right now? It's easy to ghost a therapist, but I can tell you, we don't learn that way. I might not be a good therapist for you, but if you just leave and never tell me, I don't know where I went wrong. Not saying that's your responsibility, but it's something to think about. And also try to have a little grace with the process. People come in thinking that whatever your trauma is, that's what we're gonna address. Nah. Because what you think your trauma may be ain't what it actually is. You're like, hey, I got a leaky pipe in my wall right now. I think we need to fix that. You'll tell me as a therapist, and I'm like, I bet, let's fix the leaky pipe. But if you ever watch HGTV, you know that sometimes the leaky pipe ain't that simple. Because you gotta bust the wall to bust through the concrete. Oh, I gotta get a permit for this. Oh, that's a support beam. You gotta do 40 million different things before you get to that pipe. My job as a therapist may not be to help you fix that pipe. My job as a therapist for you and our interaction and our experience may just be to get the permit to break the wall down. Most of the work you do ain't even in the session. The session just give you guidelines. Most of the work you do is in the real world when those people talking to you crazy and self-doubt is all up in your head and your mom ain't understanding you. it's a mix of giving grace and being very firm with what you want for yourself. But just like relationships, there's no rule of thumb of when to leave. You just gotta kind of trust your instinct, but give that person a chance to get a state of the union on what's happening between the two of you all. Hope that answered your question. Thank you. That was a great question.
Hey, you got another.
I sat
She
down
bringing
too
it
quick.
back.
I sat down too quick. But I loved your response. Thank you. Very helpful. And the second part, tips for when you're looking for a therapist. Like, what are some things to look for
Yeah,
in your pursuit?
in your pursuit. So 2 things I think about off top, I'll be short, is one, I said that last time and I went long.
That's okay.
One is write down a set of things that you would like to accomplish in therapy and ask that person what the experience is with helping people who have those conditions. If you know you have anxiety and bipolar disorder, amazing. Ask that therapist what the experience is with that. How they go about helping people. I told you all I do CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. A lot of people do different things. How do you administer therapy? Can you tell me? In addition to having those questions, the best way to go through to get a good therapist is actually word of mouth. So ask people who you know who have gone to therapy and it's been successful for them. Who's your therapist? What did you enjoy about them? Ask for that information and hope that they take your insurance.
Put your hands together for that.
Thank you all so much for inviting me.
Come on, put your
I
hands together for
appreciate it.
Kier, man. Come on.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So,
Much
Kier, man,
appreciated.
thank you on behalf of CAYA and Alpha Street, man. Thank you for coming and sharing with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, my brother.